I suppose it's sort of a burning question I've got for you, which I guess other people may ask. Why if you've got all these properties etc. Why don't you just do it yourself and keep all the rewards for yourself? Why do you actually need other people?
Well, I do it for myself.
Oh right.
So
okay. Yeah.
over the last 7 or 8 years, I've built up about 25 properties of my own.
Right.
I am active on my own, but I've only got a certain amount of capital, and because of all my sourcing contacts and agents and,
yes.
and my other contacts in the business, I come across far more opportunities
right.
than I can fund myself.
Right.
Because obviously your cash might be tied up for 3, 4, 5 months until you get it out to do the next project, and in that time you see something else that you want to do. And so that's why I evolved joint ventures over the years, where I saw a really good project
yes.
that I wanted to do, but I didn't have enough cash available at the time
right.
to fund it, in terms of the deposit and refurb of works and the amount of works.
Yes.
So that's how we came up with the joint venture structure, where
right.
I would involve someone else. They would loan some capital, the working capital we need.
Yes.
We get joint finance. I would do everything as I would for myself.
Yes.
But on sale of the project, then we had some arrangement where they got their capital back before we split any profits.
Right.
So in that way, I was able to do the project I wanted to do, or
yes.
I only had half the profit. My joint venture partner had half of it, but at least I could do it rather than just let it go.
Right, right. So in terms of take a joint venture partner, Andrew, if they put capital in, I mean, do they get some sort of additional return on the fact that they're putting some money in? I mean, do you pay some sort of interest rate or no?
So basically, all they're paying is all they're doing is loaning some capital to our joint venture.
Right.
So that's their input.
Yeah.
My input is my time and expertise.
Okay. Yes.
We normally use that loan as a deposit in order to get a mortgage on whatever property we're buying.
Sure.
Normally the property's in joint names.
Right.
So we have joint risk. We share the risks and profits 50-50.
Right.
So.
Are there any fees attached to that at all? I mean, do you
I make a small charge per property bought, just
right.
to cover my sourcing costs.
So expenses fee,
yeah.
a nominal fee.
Yeah.
Okay. And what about if I was obviously out of the joint venture? From what you're saying, I think is that if we've got a buy-to-let mortgage, the interest is covered, i.e., that's a cost. The interest is a cost to the joint venture. What about if I actually put a lump sum in? I mean, would you give me any interest to compensate me for what I'm losing perhaps in building society? Is that
the way we've done it in the past is so the capital loan, it doesn't attract interest.
No.
But if the capital loan's big enough,
yes.
we don't have to get a mortgage on the property.
That's right. Yes.
So
yes.
so the joint venture is not paying a mortgage interest.
That's what I was thinking about. Yeah.
The joint venture then pays interest to as if it had a mortgage on the part of that loan that would have been the mortgage cost.
So by definition, because obviously to borrow money is more expensive than you get on savings. If I've got money in a building society or a cash investment, by definition, I could look to get perhaps a slightly increased rate of return.
Yes.
Compared to what I'm getting at the moment.
Yeah. Just an example.
Right.
If we buy a house for 100,000.
Yeah.
And my particular partner has the cash to do that,
yes.
and we decide not to get a mortgage, then say 75% of that would have been a mortgage.
Right.
So we've paid them 5% return on the 75,000.
Yeah.
So they're not getting return on all of it.
No. Because
that will come as a result of their profits later on when we do things to it, improve it and sell it. But they are getting return in the meantime on 3/4 of it. But if we get a mortgage on it to start with,
yes.
then they don't get a return.
Of course not, no.
And it sometimes happens when we do that, buy cash, they get a return on that 75,000, say.
Yes.
And then once we do finally get a mortgage on it, they then stop receiving that interest, but they get that 75,000 back.
Yes.
And then the joint venture obviously pays the mortgage company the interest.
Fantastic. I mean, I have to say, it almost seems too good to be true, because to me, if I've got £100,000 in the building society, what you're saying to me is that I'll get a better rate of return than the profit I'm getting on a cash investment, plus I'm also getting the benefit of a return in terms of capital growth, but also in terms of, if we don't sell the property, we're also getting a return in terms of renting it out. So it seems to me that we actually it's a win-win situation.
Well, I think it is, and obviously my objectives are the same as investor, to use whatever capital that I've got or they've got to the maximum effect.
Yes. No, as I say, it's they often say it's too good to be true, but I think in this case, to me, it really is.